It's called restorative discipline. The idea is to use relationships to deal with the root issues behind bad behavior at school instead of sending students home. For instance, I talked with a teacher who allows students to write down anything they want her to know each day. If a student starts acting up, she can go to those notes to find out what may be bothering them before determining if a student needs disciplining. I also spoke with administrators and researchers who say when you stop using suspensions for behavior that doesn't require it automatically, it cuts down on bias towards students of color.
What do you think is the falling action and then the resolution, and if there's a theme?
Mrs. Calhoun's fifth grade classroom at Askew Elementary School on the west side has several themes like inspiration and availability. But she says the most important one is honesty.
I tell them the truth. I expect them to tell me the truth. And this is a safe haven for them.
What's it like knowing that you can tell your teacher how you feel sometimes?
Knowing that it makes me feel more confident learning, and sometimes when I'm stressed I can relax because I know that my teacher's going to help me.
I feel like I can tell her almost anything that I struggle with, and it's very helpful to have it.
This is an example of temperature checks. And so you can't read what they say.
These confidential notes from her students help Mrs. Calhoun understand what her students are dealing with, and that can be a big help when it comes to discipline.
Be proactive.
Principal Ebony Cumby says they began using the restorative method 3 years ago.
It's a shift in mindset to realize that now the social and emotional well-being of kids is right up there with reading and writing and math and all of those things.
The Department of Education tracks school discipline data. We took a look at Askew's record during the 2017-2018 school year before staff started using restorative discipline. Every student punished with suspension at the majority-minority school that year was Black or Hispanic. 2 instances involved knives, resulting in automatic suspensions. The other 5 were listed as code of conduct violations, like dress code violations or class disruptions. It's these instances where school staff can use their own discretion to determine punishment, and racial bias can creep in. When Askew put the restorative method in place the following school year, suspensions fell to 0.
But really, in practice, it just boils down to building relationships with kids and using that knowledge that we have, that personal knowledge that we have about them, to help them make better choices and better decisions when they're faced with challenging situations at school.
The director of the Center for Justice Research at Texas Southern University has been studying restorative discipline and says data indicates it's a better solution than sending students home.
The research was clear. Restorative justice programs work. They cut down on the number of kids who are being suspended. It cuts down on the school-to-prison pipeline likelihood. We understood that there was a better way to do this than to send a kid home for 3 days.
What it means to them to be a leader.
Back at Askew, administrators say taking suspensions off the table has also produced academic benefits.
One of the things we've seen is just that because kids are spending more time in school and in class, we are slowly starting to see those achievement gaps close. We're starting to really get a clear picture of what are the academic deficits of our African American boys and our Hispanic boys, things that we necessarily couldn't see as clearly before because they weren't in class consistently, they weren't producing work.
Changes 3 years in the making on campus, producing more equitable results for all students. In Houston, I'm Brianna Connor, ABC 13 Eyewitness News.